It's 6:05. I'm going to call the Committee on Finance with the meeting as a whole to order. I'd like to remind everybody that before the meeting begins, please silence your cell phones and note the meeting is being recorded. I'd ask that you please rise if you can for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up on our agenda is inspectional services. It's page 28 in our binders.
Good evening, Chairman Viola and members of the City Council.
Good evening.
Tom Quinn, Building Commissioner, City of Woburn. Budget, page 28. Pretty straightforward. You know, everything's level funded on the operational and maintenance accounts, with the exception of I requested an additional $1,000 for academic courses. And the reason being is I've had, as you know, we've appointed a new electrical inspector. I've brought a new building inspector into the office. So it's important, you know, for a little extra funding there for additional trainings for both of those gentlemen, and as well as myself and the plumbing inspector. With the code cycles changing in the up and coming fiscal year, we just want to, you know, be the best and stay educated so we can support the mission of the city and the inspectional services. Salary accounts, again, are contractual. The only difference that we did was as you know, I still have a vacant second building inspector position, and it's tough to come by. There's a shortage of building officials, and to get somebody qualified really takes some time. So, but we did cut that in half for this year at $41,000. But that money is used for my provisional building inspectors as needed. I have two very seasoned retired gentlemen who moonlight on the side as, you know, inspectors, and they've been a tremendous help to the office as needed. I mean, roughly, we're averaging maybe between 15 and 18 hours most weeks. January, February, this past year when it was slow, I didn't have the need for them, so I didn't bring them in. And that also covers a little bit of the overtime if I have to bring my secretarial staff in at 8 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. if we have, you know, different things going on, as such as myself or one of the inspectors is out of the office on a vacation or a personal day. So how we've done it since July last year, I'm, you know, very happy the way we've done it. It seems like it's working well, and we're going to continue that practice for the next fiscal year. And again, it's $41,000, so we are being conservative. We know the needs of the department, but I don't want to overburden the city where, you know, I can't justify a full-time person right now. Other than that, if there's any questions, be happy to answer.
Councilor DeMambro?
Commissioner Quinn, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
We're going to be here a while. I got quite a few questions I got to ask you. No, just a statement. Thank you for everything you do for our city. All the help you provide all of us city councilors is invaluable. We appreciate your time, all the efforts in your office, out of your office, with all the different inspectors, and Gail and Vicky, and they do a phenomenal job. I just want to let you know we appreciate it, greatly appreciate everybody's help and support in inspectional services, and I will be voting in favor of this budget. Thank you.
And it's appreciative. Again, it's a team effort. It's a team downstairs. We've been a team for some of us for too long than necessary, but it's all good. You know, every once in a while we do get a new team member or two that fit in nicely. So, you know, the transition over the last year, we've had some ups and downs, but I think, you know, we accomplished the mission. And again, with, you and I converse daily, more than maybe twice or three times sometimes, Councilor Berwin and I and the rest of the council. You know, we communicate frequently, so the communication, you know, has been there. We've dealt with the issues, and, you know, last year when we were struggling, I appreciate the help from all of you. When, you know, an issue was risen in one of the wards, you know, you called, you understood it might take a little bit longer, and you accepted that, you know. So that's, you know, instead of, you know, 3 or 5 days, we might have been running 7 to 10 days to resolve a problem. But again, it was in the, you know, time frames allotted, and everybody understood it. So again, it goes back, and I thank you too for, you know, the support last year that we went through.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Mercer Bruin?
Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for everything. And everything you continue to do. I so appreciate your creativity as well in the office, using, some contract help to do some of the inspections. Well, it's a struggle to find people. We heard it from DPW, from the police and the fire. It's very difficult, so I appreciate your creativeness on that. And I know we were talking earlier today, and I asked you about the receipts, the permits coming through, and based on what we heard from the assessor's office too, we know things are slowing down. It's no secret, right? And we're not the only ones that are subject to that. Boston is struggling. The state is struggling, which means when the state's struggling, they're going to be looking at us to help them with their struggles. So I'm concerned about it all around as we look at the budget that's been proposed to us. So can you just give me a quick picture of where we are with our permits? I think I know the answer, but.
Yeah, that's no problem. We've done a comparison, and we started last year when we started going with our Citizen Serve online portal. We changed the dynamics in the office a little bit, so we're doing it quarterly. And just as a comparison, from January through March of 2023, we issued 371 building permits with fees of $401,840. January through March of '24, and I'll explain this in a moment after you hear the number. Number of permits, 389, which was right on par. However, the fees collected for that period of time was $795,865. You say that's an increase. However,
It's not.
the one project on Mill Street, the 40B project on Mill Street that we permitted during that time, that permit fee was $358,445.
It generated a lion's share.
Yes,
of
it
that.
did, but if you took that one project out, you'd be at $437,000. So without that one project, we were pretty much on the same numbers as January through March of '23.
As opposed to going up,
as
which
to
is what
going
we
up,
typically
yeah.
do.
Across the board, you see that it was reflected in all different types of permits we've issued. We did have blips this month, but again, it was due to some of the projects that were permitted. Now, electrical permits went up because 6 months after we issued the building permit, it was weather tight. Electricians were in doing their work, such as Pulte over in East Woburn, the 40B project that I just referenced, and Fairfield up in North Woburn. So, it cycles up, it cycles down. But what's important, a couple of things, is we all know the commercial is pretty much flatlined for the time being. Residential is down somewhat too. The work, maybe we're not doing as much plan review, but now we're out in the field doing the inspections. And that goes back to where I've brought the temporary help, and that's critical to the mission of the office. We've taken the money, we've done the permit reviews, the council has approved special permits, so now we have to respond and do the field inspection. So it's up, down, and
Yep, it's like
all around.
when you give someone a service contract,
Yep.
you collect all that money, but then you have to
got to perform the
service
service.
that contract. So we're not generating as much of those contracts anymore. We're still having to do the work. So, thank you, and I appreciate everything you and your office.
Yeah, no, and again, I think a couple of success stories, though, is we've, closed out the LCS permit in East Woburn, the Delaney. That seems successful. The last round of the Pulte permits is going through the process now. So that was 197 units in the 3 mid-rises and the rest townhouses. The first mid-rise building was closed out earlier this year. The second mid-rise building should be midsummer, and then the third mid-rise building will be spring of '24, along with a lot of other projects, just to give you an idea of where we are timeframe.
Right.
And then after that on that site, I'm not aware of anything for the commercial end right now.
And nothing new on the horizon. And for the people at home that didn't hear it the other night from the assessor's office, a lot of those things that have been permitted, we don't get any benefit from them at all until there's a shovel in the ground. And I think it's very important for people to understand that as well.
We're okay right now, but what the future holds, I don't know.
Thank you.
I wouldn't want to give you any false information.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Councilor at Large Toro?
Thank you. Tom, kind of to echo the sentiments of both Councilor DeMambro and Mercer Bruin, Your office does an amazing job. I have a little bit of a unique perspective on your office, considering, you know, I do deal with you in a professional sense as well, in addition to the council. But everyone in your office, between Joe Lococo, Joe Rossi, Rich, you know, the office help, they're always super responsive, including yourself, helpful, and even being short a building inspector. The fill-in help has been great too. So you certainly made the best of the situation, and you know, I appreciate it both on a council level and a professional level, and I'm sure there's other contractors and other officials that would say the same thing. So thank you very much for everything you do, and everyone in your office as well.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And again, I'm going to say it again. It's a team approach. It's, you know, I'm just one member of the team that we all show up, we do our job, and we take pride in it.
Absolutely.
All right.
President Dillon?
How are you tonight, Commissioner Quinn?
I'm good. I was hoping to be home already, but
We'll get you there quick.
yeah, that's all right. Councilor DeMambro set me up, so.
My co-counselor said it right on the spot. You and your team do a great job. Because of my profession, I'm in and out of different building departments throughout the state of Massachusetts, and I'm going to tell you, none are better run, none are more efficient, none are more pleasant to go into than yours. It's whatever you got going there, keep it up. You're doing great. I understand the extra budget money for education, and again, I don't want to hold you up, but you better than I can even tell briefly what's going on with the energy code coming up very shortly.
It's, a lot of people are not going to be happy. We're right now, not to go on a soapbox, but we are trying to get some of these projects logged in for permit review prior to the uptick. Depending who you talk to, some of the larger residential projects could be an uptick from $1.5 million to $5 million for energy compliance with the new codes that are coming in.
That's quite a jump, isn't it?
Quite a jump. What the long-term effects of it will be, nobody knows. I mean, you go back, not to get on, again, not to get on a soapbox, but you go back to the 1970s when you had the energy crisis. You had houses in California that didn't have mechanical means, and they rotted from the inside out by the early 90s. You still need mechanical means for these things, and it's air quality. So how it plays out, it's going to be very, very interesting over the next 10 to 15 years, you know, for what we do now, or effective in July.
Again, just want to say thank you for you and your team. Great job.
Yeah, no, it's appreciative. Thank you.
Council Papalato?
Good evening. As a newer member of this group, I can tell you, you and your office have been phenomenal with helping me along, and I call you up with all these ridiculous questions, and you usually have an answer, or you make one up, one of the two.
Both work.
But anyway, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Any other comments, questions from the council?
Great. Am I dismissed?
Dismissed.
Awesome. Thank you all. Have a
Thanks,
good
Tommy.
Tom.
Thank you for everything.
Next up is information technology on page 9.
Evening, councilors.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I know that there's a long night ahead tonight, but I just wanted to give a quick couple shout outs considering this is being recorded. I first want to say happy birthday to my son who turned 9 today.
Yay.
And secondly, thanks to my other kids and wife for being understanding and supportive of my never-ending work schedule. I also can't say enough great things about the hard work and support we get from our IT guys here at City Hall and the other IT staff at the other sites, as well as the mayor, the council, the rest of the staff in the city, for really making this a great place to work and the high level of service we provide to the community. So to get down to business, some quick notes relating to the 2020 fiscal year 24 activities within the IT department. In January 2024, we received a state IT grant for $105,000 dedicated to the standardization of cybersecurity across the city. Aside from typical ongoing IT projects and systems management, much of our 2024 work has been tied up in system integrations and rollouts related to that grant. Also, we're working on wrapping up previous capital projects relating to the data center and wide area network. In regard to the upcoming fiscal year 25 budget, there's not much change from the previous fiscal year. We tried to come in as close to level funding as we could. There's a couple minor increases. First, we're requesting an additional $10,000 in our munis account to accommodate typical annual licensing increases. We're also requesting an additional $10,000 in computer programs account to cover data retention across our social media accounts and the city website. And finally, engineering needs an additional $1,000 for increased user licenses for our ArcGIS software. And any questions?
Council DeMambro.
Hi, Dave.
How you doing?
You guys do a great job. My only question is cybersecurity. Seemed a little bit light. It seems like you always hear it in the news, cybersecurity, cybersecurity. How secure are we? Without revealing how secure we are.
We put a lot towards it. It's changed for, when I started here as an innovation officer, majority of my job was innovating and putting systems in place. We've changed just about every system in the city since I've started here, with the thought of security in the background in each of those. So it's a constant thinking about security, how we're going to make it better, constantly adapting. It changes day to day. So there's just a never-ending effort. I mean, you see that there's breaches at federal level, state level, with unlimited amounts of money. We do really good with what we have here, and from the support of you and the mayor and the budget, and my staff, we're doing great things. So I think that we're in a good position.
And all the data that we have on all our residents and everything else is well protected.
As there's constant ways of getting into things, and we're constantly plugging holes. We're trying to be proactive about it. You're going to be as secure as you can be as long as you make that the plan up front.
Well, I appreciate it, and I thank you for your office and all the support. Thank you.
President Dillon.
David, how are you tonight?
Very well, thank you.
Again, great job. Another position that you hold that you have to be up to whatever's going on in today's world every day. Changes every day. Important, protecting the city hall's records, protecting the residents, making sure that their information doesn't get stolen. Just great job. You don't have to go too far when you see some towns and cities right near us that have had problems, and it paralyzes them.
Yep.
So great job to you and your staff. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a never-ending effort from all of us here, so much appreciated.
Council Papalato.
Thanks for coming. I worked in the tech sector for many years, and I will tell you that one security breach will paralyze the whole operation. So the fact that you've been able to maintain that and allow that to happen. I know there's a saying in the business, it's not if, it's when. So I don't want to jinx anything. I just say that you're doing a great job, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Councilor Campbell.
Hi, David, how are you? Question, it seems like a lot of them are going up. A lot of the different things from the last fiscal year are going up. Is there a reason for that? Am I misreading it?
Computer contract operations account increased from 240,000. We're requesting 250,000 this year. Computer programming, web design account, they're not named great, but essentially a lot of our computer services are in that account. That's increasing 10, is that the account? I apologize, hold on. I think that's the account that's increasing 10,000. Computer. And then essentially it's a 21,000 and a 1,000 in one of our engineering accounts. $21,000 increase.
Okay,
From the previous year.
right, okay.
So I mean, and compared to previous years, it's pretty close to level fund as much as we've had recently.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking to myself, I feel like we might have to find some pennies here and there because of what's coming in front of us with the school budget. Not that everything else should halt, that's not the case. I guess I'm just wondering, do you need those increases? Is that something that you absolutely need for your department, or can we cut a little?
Yeah,
Would you be
well, this
okay?
isn't specifically what my department solely operates from, is a fraction of this. This is across all city departments mainly. So in
Okay.
regard to the munis account, you know, for 250,000 coming from 240, that's the munis system that operates the entire city. That's just a regular doing business increase
Okay.
year after year. I mean, it just is
So
what
that's
it-
them increasing, so
Yeah,
we
I
can't
mean, so
cut
there's,
that,
I'm
okay.
not requesting that, that's, you know, if we want to keep using munis,
Okay.
that's where it is. And we maintain, you know, that's at half of what it could cost if you were, a lot of communities are jumping to do a cloud-hosted version of munis. It doubles the cost, you know, that'd be at 500,000, you know, so it's, we're doing it in-house, to be able to keep that cost down. You know, and honestly, munis is one of those products that I'm always looking at, like, you know, what do we need? It's a fine balancing act of what we need to operate versus, you know, what's going too far. So, I mean, I'm constantly looking at that, you know, so.
Okay, no, that explains it. It's just going up. Everything's going up drastically on so many different items. So, okay, good. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Counselor Chora?
David, thank you very much. You know, looking at your budget, I see it a little bit differently. I see maybe 2 line items going up. Everything else is pretty much the same. So I don't see any issue with it. I support your budget. I would have no problem with supporting your budget in any way. So thank you for you and your staff for what you do, keeping the city safe in the IT aspect of things. And you have our support. So.
Thank you so much.
Any other counselors have any questions or comments? No. Dave, thank you for coming out.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
night.
Thank you
Dave.
for everything.
Have a good night.
Next up is Veterans Affairs on page 51 in the books.
Good evening, Chairman Viola, council members.
Good evening.
So, Veteran Services, first off, thank you all for your support. Thank you for showing up at cemeteries, showing up at each of our events. I can't say how much that means to the community and to our veterans. But as far as our budget goes, the Veterans Agent budget would be level funded this year. We're not looking for any increase there. The only increase would be around the United Veterans Council, and that would be strictly around flags, and it would be the same increase as last year, which would be another $2,000. The budget right now is at $10,000. Cemetery flags alone, this year we were up to almost $13,000. Albeit we do get reimbursed that from the state, but the bottom line is it comes out of the budget right then and there, and we're not seeing that again. It's typically cherry-picked out of a different department and object to pay for those flags, and God forbid we have to, you know, replace any 5x8, 6x10s, or 8x12s. It's the only portion of the budget that I feel that we really need to increase. With that, that's
President
really
Zoll.
all I have, and certainly answer any questions that you may have.
No questions, couple statements. Thank you for the beautiful, well-deserved memorial program you just put on for our veterans. I've said it here in the chambers before, we have a debt we can never repay to our veterans. You're working hard for them, it's appreciated, and you're a very humble guy, so I'm gonna call you out a little bit. And if you could tell, I'm sure the city council knows, but the general public about the grant that you just recently received.
Sure. So we received a very, very generous, awe-inspiring donation from the South End Italian Club to the tune of $130,086. Nick Concanon, the city council, Mark Savati, the work that they all put into it, truly appreciate it. Thank you again, Ms. Valley, as well. We deposited that. We're going to put that into a revolving account, and the amount of richness and goodness that brings to veterans, you know, just around Chapter 115 even, when it's something we discussed, it's 200% below the federal poverty level, and we have folks that come in that barely miss that, may need a, you know, oil, whatever, monuments that typically we'd have to go ahead and fundraise for to repair. The longer that goes in the public eye, that's quelled with this. And I cannot thank the members, the membership, the staff of the South End Italian Club. Incredible. Just incredible.
Well, thank you for going out and scouting that out and getting that for the veterans. I know you'll put it to great work for them.
Absolutely,
and
sir.
It's really appreciated. Thank you.
Counselor DeMambro?
How are you, sir?
Good. Good.
You do an amazing job down there.
Thank you.
You know, you're a tucked away little treasure over at the senior center. And I'm not sure too many people know where your office is, but you are located at the senior center over on School Street. The services you provide to our veterans is unmatched. I appreciate everything you do out of your office with just you and your clerk. You do a serious volume of work out of there, and I'm always impressed when I'm down there and I pay a visit or trying to get information from you. And as well as Memorial Day, Veterans Day, you do a heck of a job. I appreciate everything you do. We all do, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Anybody else have any comments, questions? No?
Just thank you.
Thank you for
So
everything
much,
you do.
Bob.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
very
Thank you.
much.
Next up is Parks Department on page 58. Good evening.
Well, with a microphone. Two guys 6'3" in front of me, that don't work for me. Good evening,
Evening.
all of yous. I always say it every year. Who has questions? I have the budget in front of me. Anybody have any specific questions on the budget?
Counselor DeMambro.
Hi, Jim.
Louis,
What do you need?
everything.
Okay. You want to break it down a little?
I will.
Okay.
I had 3 or 4 conversations with Mayor Cannon, and we've talked mainly about manpower. Manpower is key to the whole operation. We're finally going to get back, not to ordinance. Ordinance calls for 7 full-time personnel. Mayor Cannon made sure that we're going to at least fund getting back to 6 full-time personnel. Having said that, I just got a quick list in front of me. Since 2006, we have added Moose Park, Veterans Field, Fleming Field, McElhenney Field, and all the new high school areas. And we're not talking about 12,000 square foot homeowners lots. We're talking acres upon acres upon acres. It takes time and diligence just to get there, to maintain them, and everybody knows that. And my guys work really hard. We're just so limited to manpower that if anybody came down to say, there's no way you can do this, we do it. We do it the best way we can. My men are very dedicated. These guys have worked for me for years. Forget me. The men that show up every day, they make that good, honest, like the old saying, the college try. They make it happen. And when you add all this stuff, you know, when I see people, homeowners' lawns, they go around and they got a little weed trim and they trim along the walkway and they trim along the driveway. How'd you like to weed trim 3,000 linear feet of fence at Gonzales Park? It takes time. And I can rattle off 8 other parks as well. Cutting the grass, we load up the trailers every morning, we get out there, and we're moving around Woburn. 35 areas that we take care of. 35 with 5 full-time men. And in reality, no part-time help. I got a guy that paints fields for us. He hops on a lawnmower. Everybody hops on a lawnmower and goes out and cuts. The whole thing is staggering just to think about. And I've been to the council for the last 7, 8, 10 years, and I keep saying, if There's just no way you can say that all this area, acres, we take care of 80 acres of land pretty much every week. Some stuff, maybe not every week, but when we do this, my men make it look great. I know we have like 18, maybe 20 areas that look superlative. I know they do because people tell me. I see it. We work it. I'm part of it. I don't stand there with I don't stand there with an Izod shirt on and say, yeah, you go here. I'm one of those guys. We do it. I'm proud of it and everything we do every day, but we are suffering so badly from manpower. Again, it's staggering to think about it. And I just want to know, one quick thing. Some of you might have noticed this back in March. I received an award, but it's not my award. It's the Park Department award. New England Sports Turf Manager of the Year. That's not me. That's my men. What they do, what they produce, when you get recognized by all your peers in New England, I guess it means you're doing something pretty darn good. But I don't know how much longer it's going to keep up. I really don't. It overwhelms me. You work 60 hours a week. My guys work extended hours. And that award meant so much to me and my men because other towns suck. I see them. Their land is terrible. They don't have irrigation. They don't take care of it properly. We do. And it means everything to me. And having said that, because I think I'm sort of coming down the end of the road being park superintendent, but I will say to Mayor Kincannon, he tried to increase a few accounts. He's going to help us get back up to speed with an extra full-time personnel, and it's going to help. But we've just fell so far behind. Sometimes it's embarrassing. There's a few areas that are out there that they haven't been maintained too well, and that's sad in Woburn because we got money, and Woburn's a proud town. So having said all that mouthful, who has questions? Joanne.
President Dillon first.
Jimmy, thank you for what you do. I know you have great pride. I know you're on the mowers because not only do I see you during the week on the mowers, I see you in the weekends out there cutting grass as well. And it's noticed. Obviously, people from out of town come, use our fields, and they all say the same thing. Outstanding. So I'm glad there's some increase in at least one more person. I hope it helps. I wish we could do more, and I'm sure that we're going to look at this in the coming years and try to improve on it. But again, just an outstanding job. The pride you show, your people that work for you, and even your after hours. I was just at a meeting with you last night for Flag Day. You didn't have to be there. Not only were you there, you were putting your full capabilities into the meeting, trying to make sure this deal goes off Saturday without a hitch. You're one of a kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Campbell.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Joanne.
I'm so happy. First of all, thank you for your dedication, no question. I mean, it's been years now. I have fought to get you somebody, and we just haven't been able to do it. Finally, one man, one laborer, because it could be a woman for that matter, right?
Yeah.
One laborer
Yep.
to help. How many do you think, realistically, I know you said 7, is that realistic for a city the size of ours? I mean, I'm hoping next year we'll be able to get another laborer, but is that the number we should be at as a city the size of ours with the amount of parks that we have?
Well, in reality, no, because in 1999, we took over the maintenance of a lot of the school grounds. We had an agreement that was signed way back then. The gentleman that ran the schools at the time was Roy Robley, and I know Dave Dunkley's retiring, but, and I expressed this to Mayor Concanon as well, that, you know, I hate to say it, I mean, there's enough work there for 10 people. There really is. Maybe not in January, February, March, but there's enough work there. And with all the school grounds and all the athletics going on in Woburn, I'm not saying hire 10 men, but there's enough work for 10, without a doubt. I see every day there's things that go neglected that shouldn't go neglected, but you just don't have time to do them. And having said that, that school agreement, it works pretty good, but that goes back 25 years. Maybe it's time to revisit it and see what can happen there in conjunction with the schools. Yes.
Okay, that's actually a great idea, because that might be something that might be similar to what we did with DPW and the cemetery commission in a sense.
True. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for all that you do. I have 3 of the largest parks. I have Horn Pond, I have Clap, I have Gonzales, and you do a tremendous job there. And I
Thank
know
you.
it's a lot of work, and I do thank you, and I thank your men. Congratulations on the award. You absolutely deserve it. Mayor Concanon, thank you for putting in the budget one more laborer, and I want to push for one more for next year as well. So, thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Council Papalato?
Good evening.
Hi.
I think you're a victim of your own success. It's difficult to ask for more
Yep.
when you look around at these fields and you see how manicured everything is. I've played in these fields. My kids have played in these fields. It's tremendously well maintained here, and thank you for what you do there. There's no question.
Thanks,
Statement.
Billy. I appreciate the comment.
Councilor at Large Ferrula?
I just want to say thank you, Snooki, for all you do. I never played there. My brother played and my kids played, but I never played. Thank you for all you do. And thank you for taking care of the memorials up in Well. The one in
Thanks,
Rockwood was
Bobby.
very special. Thank you for all you do.
Yep.
Any other comments from the council?
Who else?
Questions?
I just wanted to say thank you too, Jim. I never got to finish my thing, but
Love Fest.
thank
We
you.
got a Love Fest going.
All right, I got that in.
Louis, I was waiting for you.
I thank that.
Jim, thank you for everything
Yeah.
you and your department do.
Charlie, as well. For the council, I expressed to Mike, I'm 90% sure that I'm gonna retire at the end of the 2024. So we'll see how we go. Maybe I come back before the council, but there's gonna be changes coming, and if I can be part of the changes, I'll be glad to be here.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Good
Thank
luck.
you, Jim.
Take care.
Next up is the auditor's office, and that's on page 4 in our binders.
Committee Chair, City Councilors, Charlie Doherty, City Auditor. Overall, our budget this year is pretty much level funded. Contractually, on 2 of our consultants' accounts, it goes up by contract this year in the 3rd year of the contract, so that's really the only change we have budget-wise. First, I'd like to thank my staff for the hard work that they do during the year. My staff is responsible not just for maintaining the budget and working with departments, but processing every invoice that goes through the city, both for the schools and the city side, on a weekly basis. It takes a lot of time and effort to make sure it's done correctly and with the due diligence to make sure we're protecting the taxpayers and the city budget. I want to thank them again. Also want to update you on, last year, we hired a deputy auditor. It's been very helpful in bringing some consistency and stability to the office also, especially out on the floor, having that second person that can be there for oversight on the department. Sabrina Hume has done a fantastic job, and she's really settled in well with both the staff and the operations. Personally, I'd like to thank her and tell you that it's been very successful having that position filled. Also, the 3rd position would be the budget analyst. We haven't had the ability to fill this position yet, not because of support or anything else. We're trying to identify how we can get the space within our current office to have this person have a desk, have the ability to be involved within the office. Previous administration said maybe we could put him somewhere else in the building, or her, and that really didn't seem to fit suit to what we wanted. It has to be someone that's there that can work with the department. The current mayor, I've been working with Mayor Concanon, and we're identifying how to realign the office and make the space there so we can fit another cubicle and have the person in the office. So I look forward to this year bringing that person online and being able to help out with the, not just the budget prep, but also the maintenance and the ongoing oversight on all of the budget issues that we have during the year. It'll be a big help, not just to myself, but I believe to the council and also to the mayor, and overseeing the budget and the operations as we move forward. A little bit of an update this year. So far, local receipts are on target or better than expected, which is very positive to know. We're finally coming back to those pre-COVID numbers. So it's very positive that Woburn has been able to bounce back probably a little bit more aggressively than some other towns, especially like hotel, motel, our meals tax. As you heard tonight, our permits for the last couple of years have been good. Of course, we're going to be cautiously looking at them for the next couple of years. But currently, right now, for what we did last year during the tax certification, our numbers have held strong and actually a little bit better than we expected, which is very positive for the city. Also want to highlight the fact that our office, in collaboration with the mayor and the 3 largest departments, we run a WooStat program in the city of Woburn. This has been very successful over the last 7 years in, as far as allowing us to identify, not just making sure the costs are in line and we're spending in scale to what the budget is, but really assessing what the needs of the departments are, our 3 largest departments, which is DPW, fire, and police. Assessing their needs, looking at how things are operationally happening and what our needs might be. It's helped us assess adding personnel and new bodies to the department or new equipment, and it's been very successful. I want to thank the department heads that have bought into that and become very helpful. You know, they've learned pretty quickly this wasn't a way just to cut budgets. This was a way to really assess what the city needs, and I think through their commitment and involvement and us helping them, we've been able to achieve a lot for especially those 3 departments. We'd like to see to expand this more to other aspects of the city, so it gives us a better understanding of budgetary obligations and everything else and how we can better operate. So I think that's a positive aspect too. Like I said, other than that, the overall budget has only gone up in 2 of the line items, which are contractual obligations, which went up just by contract for the 3rd year. If anyone has any other questions or concerns about overall, to answer those now.
Council President?
Charlie, thanks for you and your department. Before I became city council president, one of my committee deals was audits. So, which means for the general public, a number of us go in every Monday night and look at every bill that was paid throughout the week.
And I thank you, because I know that's not an easy job.
And some may say that sounds pretty boring, but we always made the best of it. And it was an actual very important obligation to follow up on, because I would often call you and say, Charlie, I don't quite understand this, help me out. And then you'd direct me to whoever I needed to talk to with an explanation. So just a little bit of input of one of the many things you and your staff do, and it's important so that we know everything is being done properly. And I have 110% confidence in your office and your staff that we're in great shape, and certainly support your budget and appreciate everything you and your staff do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councilor at Large Toro?
Charlie, similar to what Council President Jeff Dillon said, I now have the distinct honor of being on the audits committee and paying all those bills, or reviewing all those bills. And yeah, as a rookie, yes, thank you. In your office, mostly you, because you're here late at night when I'm here, have been great when answering any questions that I have, and even some of the meetings that I've sat in on, the weekly budget meetings or the department head meetings, and any questions, you're a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate all your insight and help that you've given in the 6 months I've been on the council. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilor Demers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Charlie, I'll be supporting your budget page. I think anytime that we can invest in an additional
position that analyzes our budget and finds ways that we can do things better, save money for the taxpayers at the cost that we currently have listed in there of $83,600. I'll say good luck finding somebody who will take that, but I think it's an important move to structure your office the way that you're going about, to make sure, I mean, you've done a great job as a fiscal steward in the previous administration and in our budget meetings and meeting with the capital planning and building ad hoc committee with the schools. You know, I think we're of like minds when it comes to a lot of this, so I do appreciate all you do for the city and being a hawk on the budget, making sure that we have the best interests of the taxpayers in mind, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Bruin?
I echo all of those things, and I just want to remind some of the new people on the council that, you know, Charlie served as president of the city council many years ago. I had the great pleasure to serve with you, and I remember many a budget meeting that ran well after 1 a.m., and that's no joke. Not only were you thorough, you were passionate about your work, and you still are. So I so appreciate everything that you do, and when I call you with questions that sometimes I think, shouldn't I know that? But things change so quickly when it comes to, you know, how how the money is moved around, and you are always so transparent. You know, sometimes we don't always get the answers we want until we come to you. So I so appreciate everything. I just wanted to make one comment about the so the receipts. Naturally, they would be up, right, for hotels and restaurants, because people were trapped inside for so long. I just worry as things move forward, just with how the interest rates are, people can't even afford to buy groceries, never mind go out to eat. So we're all keeping a close eye on those things.
We do, and all of our local receipts, because they're a very important part to how we do the tax certification, because it's a good component in that as far as revenue. And we're very cautious about those numbers. We always conservatively project what we believe for the next year. But I will say, I think Woburn has been in a good position, because even though there's concerns and a downturn in the market, Woburn is still more of the affordable area for hotels. And it's benefited us, because Boston's losing some hotel activity. We're gaining it because they can probably save $120 a night staying here. And having the train access, the bus access, Woburn is really in a great position to keep ahead of that.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And I'm not sure if people know this or not, but all the schools that we've built for as long as I've been in office, right? Keeping track of the money that we're allocated from the state, it's no joke, because if it's not done properly, we don't get the money back that we're supposed to. And you're responsible for that, you and your team. So again, I don't think people at home know that. And every time we do it right, we get more money for the next building. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor DeMambro?
And I echo the sentiments of Council Mercer Bruin. Charlie, thank you so much. I'm not sure the residents at home realize how important your role is and how great you are at it. I wish I had a better word at this point, but you're the hawk for that ledger book. You know all the numbers, you know the percentages. Every time any one of us has a question, we call you. You got the number right off the top of your head. We appreciate that. We thank you. The residents thank you. You're a great member of this team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Well, from
I
the
just,
chair.
before I close, I'd just like to thank Gail Freeman, who's in my office. Gail is my admin, and she's probably that frontline person that addresses a lot of the concerns that come into the office. But her ability to work with different departments during the day, follow up and stuff, it's unbelievable. She does a great job. And as all of you know, she also makes cookies every Thursday. So definitely a shining star in the city. But I did want to take a moment to thank her personally, and also Sheila McElhaney, who's in the staff of the office. They all do a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks for everything, Charlie.
Next on the agenda is the Woburn Public Library, and they're on page 53.
Good evening, counselors.
How are you, Hermie?
Good, and thank you for the work that you do. And it's usually when I come to this meeting, I like to take this opportunity to give you guys an idea of some of the stuff that's happening across the street at the Woburn Public Library. So, and then I'll, work in some of the budget things that are coming our way for fiscal '25. So welcome to the Woburn Public Library, hub of the community. So this slide, the one on the left, we publish every month on our website, and it's just a way to give an idea to the public of what's happening in the library, and we call it Woburn by the Numbers. And we look at the comparisons there. You could see that the huge increases over the last calendar year. Our community continues to prefer in-person programming, and so as you could see from the high attendance at our programming and from the amount of programs that we offer. There's also a buzz in the community as well as in surrounding communities. Last night I was on the floor and I had a great aunt with her 8-year-old, and they're from Arlington. I think the aunts are from Woburn, and the little girl said to me that our library is the best library. She loves the programming. She loves the archives. She does have a history in Woburn because her family goes back to the beginning of Woburn, so she's always coming to visit the archivist. And that's just one of the many stories that I hear constantly. Last night, one of the women from across the street in the senior housing talked about how much she loves her library, and there's so many programs now in the evenings for adults that she can participate in. So the programming is really at an all-time high, and we're trying to do the best we can to support what the community is asking us for. These were some of our goals for fiscal '24, which we, accomplished partially in some cases. We did do a lot of expansion for a library of things. Conducting a diversity audit was one of the areas that we didn't get as far as we wanted to, but that helps us to serve the changing community better as we, make ourselves aware of what the needs are. These are some goals that are coming up for fiscal '25. You'll see more about that later, but we did recently receive a grant from Cummings to the Cummings Foundation for multilingual signage and pathfinders in the library and promoting library services. So we're very excited about that. We have an ongoing, we're going to be promoting citizenship and literacy. We received a grant a year ago, and so we're continuing to work on that. We're working on public-private partnerships, partnering with businesses in our community. We want to be able to do more of that. Partnering with our civic groups, as well as, we have significant partnerships with Social Capital, Boys and Girls Club, the Rec Department, and also this year, a big thing that happened was staff development, where we recently had a conference, and we had 10 staff members go to a conference at MLA, and really good experience because we have the best staff, and they need an opportunity to have professional development so that they could be inspired, they can be rejuvenated, and they can be able to do their jobs better. So we're going to be doing more of that. A little bit more about Friends Helping Friends. We have our Friends group is back and very active and supporting our mainly museum pass program. The Woburn Public Library Foundation has been extremely helpful in funding programming. So all the programming I talked about, at least 50% of that is being funded by the support we get from the Woburn Public Library Foundation. And the Rotary, we have a connection with that civic group. They meet in the library, and they recently donated an AED defibrillator for the lower level. We had one upstairs, but now we have one in the lower level. So that's been pretty nice. And, you know, that's a good relationship with them meeting. It brings other people into the building too. Other community relationships, Woburn Public Schools, staff is doing a lot of work with the public schools going in, with making sure kids have library cards. Teen librarian is working with the high school teachers. In fact, we have, they go over and they present. We have summer reading coming up, and they'll present what's being offered for the high schoolers. And the elementary school kids, we've had a lot of school visits. We just had one a couple of days ago, I think on Monday. So that partnership is going well, and we continue to build it because, you know, it's important that our library is really a community space, and we want everybody from the youngest to the oldest to be able to be in the space and have programs for them, and, you know, support them in whatever way we could, support the teachers in whatever way we could. We had a meeting with one of the teachers about supporting their library programs, and so that's an ongoing conversation. And again, Boys and Girls Club, we've had successful partnerships. We're gonna grow those, and I mentioned SCI AmeriCorps. We've done a lot of this just in the last couple of months with mental health with teens. You know, they've brought programming into the library that's been very, very well attended and very successful. So a lot of good stuff happening there. And library awards. So I mentioned the Library Services and Technology Act. That was the citizenship and grant that we got. Last year, we received an award from the American Institute of Architects and ALA. It's a joint award for a building, and I'm sure you saw it. We publicized that quite a bit, and it was on Facebook. It's a national award, and I had the privilege of going to Chicago to the ALA conference, and I was able to receive that award on behalf of the library. It was very exciting. In fact, we were one of 5 libraries, and when our library came up, a gasp went up. People were just really impressed with the beauty of the building, so pretty excited about that. And then we just recently got a preservation grant for the archives, where the archivist is going to be able to hire a consultant to come in and let us know what the needs would be for the archives, because we have a lot of important, as you know, documents and things in there, and we have to plan how we're going to preserve them long term. So that's going to be happening with that grant. The Northeast Document Conservation Center Preservation Assessment Award. And then, again, Cummings Foundation, we just got that. We're very excited. Assistant Director Megan Cass, who's in the room, worked very hard writing that grant, and, you know, we're very excited that now we're going to be able to really improve the signage in the building. So, and this is just showing you some trends, and you know, as you could see, everything is up. Library visits, programs, just another way of looking at what's happening in the library. Attendance. And so staffing. So usually when I come to, one of the things that I've talked about here before is our staffing needs. And staffing needs are ongoing. I've had a lot of good conversations with Mayor Concanon since he's taken office about what our needs are. And so again, this slide just serves as a reminder that, you know, we do have some needs. I don't expect that all of our needs are always going to get met. Can't get met in one budget season, but just going forward, so we know if we're continuing to build this beautiful resource that we have across the street, we want to be able to make sure that it's well, you know, staffed, so that we can actually do the work we're doing. So this is just some basic information. that we, and what some of our needs are. So in summary, on the bottom of the slide here, it says we need 6 to 8 staff members need to be with the public at all times in the building. Some comparisons with nearby libraries, and so Woburn is in the yellow, and it's based on population budget. So we're comparing ourselves to towns that are similar to us, and you can see right there that we have a lot less staff to work with than libraries that are similar to us. And this is, hold on. Let me do this. Okay, and this is just the total number of employees that we have. If we compare the professionals or the people with a master's in library science or a library and information science degree versus our paraprofessionals. Professionals is in blue, and you can see again, we compare ourselves to libraries that are similar to us. So we are on the short side when it comes to professionals in the building. And this is comparing the programming, and as you can see, Woburn is way up in the total number of programs and attendance in spite of what we have. So we're doing a lot with what we have. And just take a moment here to really shout out the staff. We have the best staff, the hardest working staff, and they go over and above every day. And it's not always easy, but they make it look easy, and they're very committed. So, we do have the best staff. We really do. But you could see how much more we're doing. This one here, okay, so this is the budget, and this is one of the things we look at in libraries is what percentage of the budget goes towards the library. And so again, this is how we compare. And as you could see in the proposed fiscal 25, we're doing a bit better than we did last time. We were at 0.98%. Now we'll be a little over 1% of the city's overall budget, which is a good trend. But again, for what we get, the bang for your buck in the library, we're just a very small percentage of the city budget. So, it's easy to support that, I think, because it's, we're just, it's just not a huge part of the budget. Some specific things about the children's department and what the needs are for them to function. It's open all the hours we're open, which is 65 hours a week, and we need to have 2 staff members in there all the time. And so we broke it down to how many full-time staff members, and we have 2 full-time, 3 part-time, and the children's department staff, they also engage in programming and off-desk preparation activities. You'll see a little more about that, to the tune of 20 to 40 hours a week. So other departments, because of the need in children's, we have to take from other departments, mainly our circulation team, to support the children's department. And this is just another slide showing you what's happening in there. We only have 1 degreed librarian in the children's department, and so there are times when we are without a professional librarian oversight in the room. Our support staff is really good, but some issues need to be dealt with by a librarian. So that's something that we want to address, hopefully in the future, in the near future. Leadership needs in the library. These are the leadership needs we have. We have 10 departments, and we need leadership in reference and circulation and technical services, because the leadership is key, because that's how we have communication with admin. That's how we make sure activities are well coordinated. And that's how we're able to have a smooth running operation when communication is important, back and forth, responsibility for written reports and reporting to admin. And so we need, in those departments, we do need to have leadership for that to happen effectively. Also, department heads have to attend network meetings. We're part of a network, and that's how we get information that's happening throughout the Minuteman Library Network. That's important for what we do and all of the different things that we're running in our department, in our library. And then there are other tasks that they do as well. I'm just gonna leave that up there so you could see, in addition to when they're on a desk and the other things they're doing, there's programming and there's a lot of other things there. I spoke of the stuff we do with the schools. There's a lot of community outreach that's happening, continuing education, and creating guides and things to help in, patrons in the library. So in addition to when you walk in and you see somebody on a desk, that's not the only thing they do. There are other duties that they are responsible for as well. And as I said before, programming is in high demand, and you'd see how full the rooms are for some of these things, and a lot of excitement there. Each week we offer 10 children's programs, 14, and 10 adult programs. And then basically, I'm going to go through these quickly. What goes into programming is there's a lot of behind the scenes prepping that happens for programming. And if we have a staff-led program, it means that the staff member needs time to prepare for that program. If we have a performer-led program, we don't have the before time preparation except making the space available, but it costs us a lot more money, as you can see. So the preference would be, yes, it's nice to have performer-led, and we do have those for a lot of our special events and things and special times, but it costs money. But if we have more staff, we'll be able to offer more staff-led programming, and so that would be less of a cost. As I said earlier, we're very fortunate that we have the Woburn Public Library Foundation in particular that supports a lot of these performer-led programs that we're having. Programming and staffing go hand in hand. And we also have a bigger facility, you all know, because you were all here for the big expansion. And so we're covering, I think it's 30,000 more square footage. And, I think our building is over 40,000 square feet. So just in that alone. And right now, I know the chief is in the room and he's been really helpful, but we've been having a lot of issues with our teens in the library, and just having somebody there to monitor what's happening after school between when they get out of school and when they leave. And so, again, we've been talking in-house about how great it would be to have somebody at a desk in that lower level so that there's always an adult presence there. So when things are happening, they're being monitored. If programs are happening in the program room, they're not being disturbed. So, that's something that we're thinking about, for the future. But right now, I'm very grateful for the support we get with the issues that are happening. I know you're well aware of it because it's not only at the library that we've been having challenges, and so we're doing our best to deal with that. In addition to all the stuff that the staff does, there's also personal time off that they accrue through their contract, and that they have to take vacation. So that factors into staffing as well. And then there's the unpredictable things that happens. Life happens to all of us, and so, people are out for one reason or another. It could be call out for absence for being ill, or bereavement leave or whatever, and all of that affects the staffing in the building. So one thing that has been helpful, we have been able, in February, we were able to get a substitute pool, And so that has provided a lot of relief for staff so that when things happen, I'm not worried about, do I have to close a room or do I have to shut down a desk because we don't have enough bodies in the building. And, we went through that really fast, and as you could see, what we've spent on it to date between July and May, July of last year and May of this year, it cost $32,000, $433, and we have a proposed budget this year up from $15,000 in 2024. So there's still going to be that shortfall, but I'm grateful that we have it because it means that we could still provide a level of service that, we would like to provide and that the community has come to expect from us. So just, another shout out to our beautiful building. We serve all ages, and we're trying to provide a diversity of services. And, just to be there for all the various needs that come up on a daily basis, and any place we feel that we can be of service in the community. So here are some solutions we proposed. So these are some things we proposed, and then there's some things that Mayor Concanon approved for fiscal '25. So I talked about reference, circulation, technology. These are the responsibilities. We went over that before. So these are what I call middle management positions. And I explained earlier the reason why we need those positions. And then other staffing needs that we talked about at Children's Department. So let me just go back here. Okay, so in reference, we had a reference position that was frozen. And and we also had a technical service position that was frozen in the past. And so we had asked for that, and then we also had asked to promote current staff member to circ supervisor. And for fiscal ‑25, Mayor Concanon approved a reference librarian, and also we were able to, he also approved the promotion for a circulation supervisor. So that's going to provide some very important leadership in the building. Other things that we would love to have in our children's department, we would love to have another full-time librarian. As I said, we only have one qualified librarian there. And we have a beautiful maker space where we could do a lot of science and technology and even low-tech programming. It would be nice to be able to hire somebody to run programming specifically in that space. We do have some of our staff members who are able to run some programming, but we could really expand the programming in there. And then custodial, would be nice to have a substitute, because we've had issues with the custodians, and if we have both of our full-time custodians away, and that happens a lot in the summertime, the part-timers are not always able to cover, so it would be nice to have a substitute that we could pull in there. So I've been talking to Mayor Concanon about that. We'll see what we could do about that. And so, again, you could see the check marks where Mayor Concanon provided that reference supervisor and the circulation supervisor. So we're very grateful for that. In spite of everything we have, it's nice that, we can move forward with these, because I think it'll make a big difference. So just want to thank you for listening. And if you have any questions.
Any questions?
Could I make a motion, we ask that this presentation be submitted as a document, either electronically or in paper?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Comments? Questions? President Dillon.
Romaine, you and your staff do a great job. I've been going to the library since I was a kid, so I've seen the whole revolution of it, going through the construction, when we didn't have a library, while it was under construction, my adulthood, studying for my professional licenses there, for my state licenses, and what it's always been was a library, a great place to go. Since you've taken over, I've said it before, it's no longer bricks, books, it's bricks, books, and it has a soul. It has a life, it has a vibe. The programs you have there, whether it be for the kids, teenagers, old people, it's wonderful. Nothing makes me happier when I hear my daughter say she's taking my 3 grandsons to a program at the library. You just serve so many different people, so many different purposes, and I thank you whenever we need a room to hold a meeting. Staff is outstanding, the room is set up exactly how we need it, everything runs perfectly. Just doing a great job. Keep up the great work, and thank everyone there for me.
Thank you. Appreciate
Councilor
that.
Mercer Bruin?
I just wanted to echo those thoughts. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when we were having difficult conversations about the library and our community was struggling. So I thank you for everything that you've brought forward here. And one of the slides that really stuck out for me, I'm not sure if you're going to like this or not, but the other cities and towns that don't even compare to us in terms of the programming, right?
Right.
So it's quality, not quantity. So I'm happy to see that you got some of the positions, but it's not, as you know, and I know you know this, it's not always just throwing people at it. That's not necessarily always the answer. But the quality of the people is critical, and we are so lucky in that regard. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Councilor DeMambro?
Hi, man.
Hi.
I have to say, you do an incredible job down there. I'm down there several times with meetings and everything else. Your staff is unbelievable. I've always been fond of the old architecture of the old building, but the new building, with everything that is packed into that building, I can see why it's a hit. With all the programs, 1,048 programs. That's unbelievable. I can't even fathom. You do a great job. Your staff does a great job. It really is. It's the epicenter of our community, and we appreciate everything you do down there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Papalato?
I thank you. Thank you. I thought your presentation was excellent. I'm a lot smarter now after seeing that. And thank you for all that you do. You do a phenomenal job there. The staff is great, and it's an impressive building that's second to none. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Councilor
Oh,
DeMambro?
one thing, I do have to update my library card, so I'll be down to see you this week.
Yes, please,
Thank you.
please do. And if you don't have one, it's easy. Just come to the front desk. And I thank you for your support.
Thank
very
you for
much.
coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is the police department, starting on page 18.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Council.
Good evening, Chief.
Night. Some news from the PD. 2 weeks ago, we graduated 4 recruits from the academy, which was great news for us. We attempted last year to hire 8. We were unsuccessful. We did manage to hire 5. 4 completed the academy, unfortunately only 4. Basically keeping up with the attrition of the individuals that have retired. 2 years ago, we applied for a grant through the Cummings Foundation. We were very fortunate to receive a $100,000 grant for the drone program, which has expanded tremendously, not only in Woburn, but with NIMLAC. Currently, we have 5 pilots in the program, led by a lieutenant. More recently, the drone unit has been made part of the NIMLAC SWAT and RRT response. The couple of weeks ago, we had a response to Townsend for a 71-year-old male with dementia and ALS. 5 canines couldn't locate it. One of the drones we have is, it's a Matrice 300 RTK with thermal imaging. The 2 pilots, which was Officer Mingella and Officer Marr, actually located the individual and were able to lead troops into deep woods to find him. The medical staff on scene basically said he would not have survived the evening. So it was a great save. Thrilled about our new canine. On, excuse me, President's Week, it's President's Day week. Previously, I spoke to the mayor about applying for what is known as a Stanton Grant. And it's a grant that will fund a canine program for a city or town. I did the grant on Monday. We were awarded it on Thursday. It's a $52,000 grant, which paid for canine Odin. And that grant not only paid for the dog, paid for upfitting in the cruiser, a kennel for the handler, which is Sean Delaney. It pays for the Canine Academy of Boston. He's about to complete week 10 of a 14-week program. Then we'll subsequently enter a program for either drugs or bombs and guns. We haven't made that determination yet. He's graduating a month from today from that academy. The new civil service list actually came out a month early. It came out last Friday. So in this budget, we're looking to hire, the mayor's funded 8 new positions for reserves and money for an academy. Hopefully, we will be able to attain that level. With the current that just graduated, we're still 1 behind. We've got at least 4 retiring in the next fiscal year. To be able to hire that many personnel would afford us the opportunity to put reserves on days and on the B shift back into the downtown area, hopefully. So that's some of the good news that we have coming out of the police department. Tonight is with me is Deputy McManus. He was made deputy chief for the first time in Woburn Police history. That was in December. So we are making steady growth towards growth, for the department, and hopefully this new list will provide us with some potentially very good hires.
President Dillon.
Chief, again, you and your men do an awesome job. Just go out there every day without worrying about yourselves and protecting us and making sure our community is safe. In our conversations, you one time told me what the population grows to during the working hours. Would you mind repeating that?
Yeah, we believe that it's in excess of 200,000 people in the city during the day.
So I think the public needs to know that. What you folks do is incredible when you stop to think that our population grows to over 200,000 people during the day. Coming, going in cars, incredible. The work you do, the work that you do against making sure that our young people are protected against the wrath of drugs that comes into our community. Every time I read in the Times or hear that there's a drug bust, the first thing I do is call and thank you. We need to protect our youth. We need to protect our citizens. And you and your staff do an incredible job. I should make a disclosure that I do have a family member in the Woburn Police Department. I should have done that in the beginning. I'll do that now. But I'm going to continue just for a minute if everyone would indulge me. Again, you're out there without regard for your safety. I've seen you and your people in action. I'll continue to pray for the safety of you and your people. I just can't thank you enough.
Thank you, sir.
You'll have my support on the budget.
Thank you.
Counselor at Large Toro.
Chief, just wanted to say thank you for, similar to what Council President Dillon said, thank you to you and all of your officers. Glad to see that we now have a deputy chief to assist you. I think that was huge. love seeing the fact that we have some officers in the academy and, you know, potential other officers as well. I think we had a conversation recently in regards to staffing level. If you wouldn't mind mentioning, I think the conversation was kind of, we're in, and correct me if I'm wrong, our staffing level now is similar to that of what we had for staffing levels in the 80s, right?
That's correct, it is.
And our population has exploded, not only just in the day, just our normal population. So
Yes.
what your team does on a daily basis with the staffing that we have or that you have is incredible, like Council President Dillon says. And I'll support you in your department in any way that I can. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Mercer Bruin?
Thank you. Hey, Chief.
Good evening.
Thank you for everything. I'm so grateful to you, your men and women. And I know we have a new young woman who
do.
is recently graduated from the academy. I have the pleasure of knowing her. A lot of people in the city, they read things in the paper about drug busts, but what they don't know is there's always different things going on that aren't in the newspaper. And those things that you and your team are doing that aren't always publicized, I want to thank you for those things too, because it's those things that help us get to the end game. And that is an incredible amount of work. And on TV, they make it look very glamorous, and it's not. It's dangerous, and you do it for our community, and I thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to see, I know when COVID started, we no longer had the new academy graduates come to the city council. I was wondering if that might change now that COVID is over, and instead of, you know, having it in the mayor's office, if they could come down to the chamber and have more of their family members, and perhaps the canine might join.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
Oh, not at
I
all.
miss that, and I think it was wonderful for the families because they could bring more people. So I just thought I'd throw it out there, and thank you again for everything.
Thank you.
Councilor Demers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I just echo the sentiments of my colleagues about the great work that you and your team do. You know, they go out there and protect the safety of the city and put their lives on the line every day. You know, we live in an interesting community in the sense of 93, 95. And there's a lot of nefarious activities that could occur at a crossroads such as that. And I take great pride in knowing that not only are we policing our own community, but you folks have stepped up to the job to police what may come from other communities. And I really do appreciate that. I have one question in particular, because I know a few years ago we were in this setting and we were talking about increasing reserve pay because we were asking for more of a commitment from our reserve officers due to the fact that there were new requirements in terms of minimum amounts of training before our reserves could be on the street. So have we been looking at that again to keep up with other communities have adapted in terms of our reserve pay to make sure that those young men and women who are committing to go to the academy are able to earn a wage while they're at the academy as a reserve?
Yes, well, the last group that went through, their pay had gone up considerably from the previous rate. I have spoken to the mayor in regards to the new hires that will be potentially, attempting hire off the new list. As well as there's a court case that has made a decision regarding police officers' pay while in the academy.
Okay.
So we have spoken about it, and we're going to be talking further about it with the new
Because I mean,
reserve hires.
that's a continued sacrifice, that it's a big one, especially for those with young families at home,
Right, absolutely.
to have to make that commitment. And I think we should be honoring that commitment any way that we can. So I really do appreciate everything you do, and I'm looking forward to any future discussions with regards to taking care of our reserve officers.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor DeMambro.
Hi, Chief.
Hello.
Chief, you do a great job. I'm thrilled that you're the chief of police for the city of Woburn. You do a hell of a job. You and your staff. Your team is unmatched. For the amount of traffic that comes through our city on any given day, our population, hotels, retail, bars, restaurants, the community as a whole. You keep us safe. You keep the streets safe. I see it. I hear it. I listen on the radio. I know what you guys do. School streets are busy cut through for you guys. I've seen your cruisers go one way, and then I've seen them gone the other way. You know, I sleep good at night knowing your team's on the streets, and I appreciate that. I'm thrilled with the canine. I'm thrilled with the drone technology. I'm thrilled you got recruits in the pipeline coming down, graduating the academy, even though it's not as many as you wanted, but at least that river's flowing, and I'm appreciative of everything you and your team do. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will support this budget, hands down.
Counselor Campbell.
Hi, Chief.
Good evening.
I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled. You know, every year for the past 9 years, I have wanted and hoped that we could get more police. And now we have 8, we have budgeted 8, money for 8, which is wonderful. And once again, thank you, Mayor Concanon, for this, because we only benefit, the residents of Woburn only benefit. And I know that I feel safer knowing that there are more, because our city is growing, and we do need these extra police officers. Someone had mentioned, I'm not sure who it was, that our staffing, that your staffing was what it will be now, as it was in the 80s. What do you see? What is the amount that you see for our city? What's a good number? I mean, obviously we're doing 8, but the way that our city is growing, what do you foresee, or what would be the sweet spot?
It's a great question. Technically, we're less staffed than we were previously because we employed in the past use of reserves. With the new post legislation, before a police officer can work the street, they have to be fully, fully academy trained. So our use of reserves is kind of limited to attending the academy, and post-graduation, they become full-time. So theoretically, we are, like, say, 14 people less, right? Maybe even more, really. It's a gradual process in hiring, as I said last year, I remember exactly, I said it's anemic at best. It still isn't great. We're still trying to bring this profession back to the level that it was at points through my 41 years. And we're hoping to start to see that. In the past, we'd have 200 or 300 residents from the city of Woburn on a civil service list. This list that came out on June 1st has 43 or 44 people from Woburn. So we will be going in to out-of-city residents. If we could get 8, it'll take care of the 4 impending retirements for fiscal '25, and we still only might be 3 up. So to really put it in perspective based upon population, the increased density in particular sections of the city, I don't know if it even has a guess. Because to say we need 8 or 10 people more, that's great in theory. It's easy to say that. It's the hiring, which is the most difficult component. Going through backgrounds, physicals, PATs, psychological exams, and then subject them to a 23-week academy and hope they graduate. Unfortunately, we had a recruit it was less than 2 months ago that dropped out. And that hurts because we really needed that person. So it's very easy to say, okay, I can say, great, right now we need 12. I wouldn't hazard that guess. I think if we continue along this road and continue to budget as we are doing, I think we'll be safe. But there's going to be a breaking point where we're going to say, there's a problem. We need more people now. And as long as we can maintain hiring, but increase it over the attritional hiring, I think we'll be fine, as long as we maintain this level that we're currently rolling on. the biggest majority of retirements that I've seen in my career occurred over the last few years. And we're not probably gonna see literally an onslaught like that again for a few. So I think time will be more on our side this time.
Okay, all right, thank you so much, and of course I will support this. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Counselor at Large Ferrullo.
Chief, a couple of things. You were pretty humble about the drone, what the drone unit's done. That one save, I mean, the SWAT call-outs you had in Saugus and the one in Danvers, he had a drone operator that chased somebody inside the building with the drone in a self-storage unit and caught the guy, and he was an armed gunman. They were chasing him for something. But the stuff that you're doing, your reputation throughout the world that I work in now is tremendous. I was with you at the graduation the other day, I was so excited to see your command staff. Not only just the number, the people, the fact you have a deputy, but the team you're building and the people you're putting together. It makes me feel old, but it's I was very proud to see you, Bobby, and I just mean that from my heart. But the job you're doing, you've taken to places I could never get it to, and I'm so proud of what you do, and that's from my heart, from my profession. You're doing tremendous stuff, and you're building a team that the reputation throughout northeastern Massachusetts is phenomenal. And your command of the SWAT team and stuff, what you had up in Andover that night, it's tremendous what you're doing, and I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of your department, and it's a privilege to be on the council, have you before us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? From the chair, I want to thank you, Chief, your department, everything you do. Great to see that we finally have a canine back on the department, so.
First time since 1982.
I met it the other night.
You did.
I did.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
So
Thank
much.
you, Chief.
Next, we have the planning department on page 15.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Here to present the planning board's FY budget for next year. If you have any questions on any of the line items, I'm here to hopefully answer those questions. And if you have any other types of questions, I'm here to ask. But I was also asked to be brief. I know you have a long agenda tonight. And, you know, many topics we do get to talk about at other meetings. It seems like I've gotten to know everyone pretty well lately, and it's only been 3 months. So,
Councilor DeMambro.
John, welcome back to Woburn.
you know, thank you.
So
It's great to be back in a big way.
I've enjoyed working with you in the last 3 months, and I see a long future with you and I communicating quite a bit with all the stuff that's popping up in North Woburn and all the projects throughout Woburn. I appreciate everything you're doing and the help and the time, and anytime I've come to your office in the last 3 months, the door's always open. You always welcome me. We've had some great conversations, and I look forward to the future with those conversations. Thank you.
Councilor Merce-Brown.
Just want to say ditto, John. Appreciate everything. Hasn't been easy. You walked into quite a bit. So thank you, and I look forward to all the work we have to do moving forward. So thank you.
President Dillon.
How are you, John? I'd say baptism by fire, but you've been around a while, and we couldn't get a better guy and a more well-educated in his profession than you to guide us through the difficult times we're in right now. You have a vision for Woburn. You've been here all your life, so you have, as they say, skin in the game as well. But what I appreciate the most is just the other day at a meeting, you had mentioned, we just can't look at what's in front of us today here. We have to look into the future. We have to look at what's going to work and have vision. And, you know, it's easy to get caught up in what's right in front of us and worry about it. But I was very impressed by that, and I know we had the right guy, and you have my full support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Demers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How you doing, John?
Good, good. How you doing?
Good. Question on the grant writer's position. Could you give us a brief overview of what you expect the focus on that grant writer to be, or
Yes. Yeah.
under your budget? I don't think we've really talked about it
Yeah.
much in the sense of where we're going to be aiming the grant writer.
Okay, and I don't know if everybody is aware, we did hire a grant writer recently. Ironic, it's another former president of the Woburn City Council. He applied for the position and more than qualified, and I think he's going to be a fantastic fit for the team. And right from the get-go, I've been truly impressed working with the mayor, Karen Smith in the planning office, Casey Haggerty. Woburn, like at no time in the past, is working very aggressively and vigorously to acquire whatever grant funding that's available to the city. I think this is the most aggressive group of people that I've worked with in government, really reaching out and trying to find out what is available for the city of Woburn and everything that we're going through. So there's a truly effective grant writing operation having to do with our federal elected representatives, which is totally key for a city such as Woburn. And the same with our state rep, the two state reps actually, but Richard Haggerty, to me is a superstar when it comes to working so effectively for Woburn. I've just been so impressed in how much he goes out of his way to stay in touch with Casey in our office, Karen, the mayor. He really tries his best to get what we need for Woburn's funding needs through grant programs. And Kevin McDonough, the new grant writer, comes into the position with a wealth of experience and a lot of private sector, years of private sector experience in grant writing, but also finding grants that aren't your typical grants, the private sector grants and foundation grants that are out there, really throughout the country. And when you seek them out and see what our needs are as a city, Kevin is tuned in already. He's only been on the job a week, and he's really impressed me and what he's up to in trying to increase the amount of funding, outsource funding that's possibly available for Woburn. And, I just really want to emphasize as a planner, and I've done this constantly and as a public servant, I do not want, as being a public servant, to cost the taxpayers of the city of Woburn or any community that I've been employed with tax dollars. I want to make sure you realize that I am out there trying to make sure that the planning department as a whole is a positive cash flow for the city of Woburn and not a drain. This is, an expenditure sheet here, but the other side of the ledger is the revenue production. And, every city official, once you get looking at the budget of the city of Woburn or any community, realize there's real money that has to be raised in order to provide for a high-quality public school system, police department that provides the safety that we all seek, and fire and DPW, and your local government needs that are produced in this building here. So, we have application fees that are involved with that. We do our best to make sure that we're providing for the answers in the application process to be able to go through the entire process. So an application is submitted, it has to be processed in a very thorough way, as city council members realize. And it takes a long time for an approved project to go through to fruition, so that the fruition becomes tax revenue for the city. Jobs creations for Woburn residents in the region, personal property tax of the property owners, that all produce revenue, and it's all part of the big picture that allows for this corporation, known as the City of Woburn, to function at a high level, and again, produce the public service needs of our community. I'm going to tell you, I've never seen a council working so cooperatively and professionally with one another. It's like we are on the same team. You know, we're the A team, and you know, we're producing, I really believe, a strong government process for the residents of Woburn, and we're really working very well at it. And I'm very proud to be a part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilmember
Just a
Spron?
follow-up question, John, to that, because you're so right. Without the grant writing that we have in this city, some of that would, again, fall on the burden on the taxpayers, and we can't do that, right? We want everything, but we also have to be responsible to them.
Right.
So the new grant writer, congratulations. What kind of metrics are in place to measure how that's going? Because I don't know, I mean, I know, we just heard the chief talk about a grant that he personally wrote. So I'm just trying to understand, how do we measure the success of that position? Is it, we get X number of grants per year, or, I mean, I have no idea.
No,
That's why I ask.
It's
and I don't
really,
think the general public knows.
No, it's keeping a close tally. You know, you have to apply for the grants, and then you
Sure.
have to be successful in acquiring them. So that's a tally sheet. There's money coming in. The Green Communities program, over the last few years since it's been created, is an enormously important program for every community that has become a green community, and Woburn is one of those. You know, the weatherization improvement monies that have come forward and being acquired by Woburn and utilized in the public school system, in the buildings. We have a program or a project scheduled this year in the DPW that's going to make the DPW facility much more energy efficient than exists right now. We worked over the last 3 months really diligently with our consultant engineer on energy efficiency funding. And we initially thought the project, our cost, the city cost would be, I think it started at 85, and I think we got it down to the low 30s. Is that correct? Yeah. So because we worked with our consultant, and she was able to, Susan McPhee, she was able to acquire additional funding sources to lower the costs for Woburn in this one particular project. But that's been going on for a number of years. And I bring this up as one example. The Green Community Program, the overall goal from the inception was that any community in Massachusetts that joined in on that would result for that community in a 20% total cost savings from the base year. 20% in a city this large is an enormous amount of revenue savings. That's just in energy. Mr. Doherty might be able to tell us how much in a ballpark figure that saves the city. Any idea, Charlie?
Citywide, it'd be well over $1 million.
I so appreciate all that information. I know the council does too. And I was just curious, you know, now that we have this full-time position, you know, how will it be measured? You answered the question. It will be by the number of grants that are produced, and obviously those grants bring in money, which helps pay for that salary. So that's how it will be measured. I look very forward to you giving us an update in a few months on which ones are being worked on, and where we are. So thank you very much to you and your staff, and welcome to the new grant writer.
And I just want to say, too, I have to add this. Casey Hegarty and Karen in my office, they've been really diligently working on the grants that are due, or they were due last Friday. They really took the ball and ran with it for the last few months, in effect being the grant writers for the city and organizing with other departments too. So we've applied for every available grant, state and federal grant, and met the deadlines, and those deadlines were just recently. So we're in the midst of in the next several weeks, receiving answers to all the grants that they applied for.
Right, and those are grants that previously started before we hired a full-time person.
Right.
So, understood. I was just, for the public at home, soon, right? And when we
Yeah.
approve the budget, and I'll support it 100%.
Yeah.
Now that I understand that there is a metric attached to it
Oh, yeah.
that goes with the position, that there are, expectations that the grants are written, submitted, and X number are approved. So that's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and, again, it's realistically, it doesn't make sense for a city to have a grant writer that at minimum isn't paying his freight, what he's being paid for that year. But that's minimum, absolute minimum. That's when all the coffers are dried up and there isn't much money out there to acquire. We're expecting a lot more. Plus, with grants, there's management. There's a lot of management work that has to be done, and that's what the grant writer, that's a major part of that person's position.
Right, like a sales job, right? So
Yeah.
you have to manage your customers, but you got to be producing that revenue.
Right.
Got it.
But you also have to help manage the acquisition and the expenditure. And that person has to have the ability to work effectively with other town staff, and especially Mr. Doherty. He doesn't need to have a grant writer that's going to get grants and not manage the grants. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into that stuff, and it all has to be properly managed because you have to produce results with that money. It's just not free money to do whatever you want with it. You have to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sure the public appreciates knowing how it works. So thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Councilor Demers?
Yeah, just to echo that sentiment, sometimes I've been managing a grant through EOPS for the last 5 years, and it does take a lot of work. The more grants we get, the more administrative tasks there are, activity reporting, inventory that was purchased with those grants, if it's buying hardware or software. So that full-time position, and it's not only a grant writer, it's a grant manager as well. So I think it's going to be a key cog in looking at that, but then also having additional time in a workflow to be looking at the management side as well, so that we can continue accessing those grants. Because once they see the accountability piece, we become, just like at the MSBA, we become a very popular candidate for those grants in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you very
John.
much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too, thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the Law Department. That's on page 8.
In our hymnal? Yeah.
Good evening, all. Mark
evening.
Salvati, City Solicitor. It's been an interesting start for me. A little difficult because I didn't know too many people down at City Hall. I thought I might get laughed at.
You landed it.
No, it's been a great experience so far. The mayor asked me to join this team, and I welcomed it. I think at the time I didn't ask, or he failed to tell me that right out of the gate I'd be negotiating 7 union contracts with just one other person who's next in line. But it's been a great experience and a learning experience, and I think we'll do a good job at it. I say we because I have a great legal secretary, and she is a legal secretary, Teresa Borelli, who has really helped and shown me the ropes. She learned from Ellen and learned from the best. So I'm surprised at the amount of contract work we do that goes through the office. She really does all that. I think I've dealt with just about every department already in the city and hopefully help them. And I look forward to doing more of it. And I will give another shout out to Shauna, who I've worked very closely with in the negotiations. It's just been the two of us with 4, 5, 6 people on the other side, and it's been she's really been terrific. So not much to say other than that. I think my budget is my budget, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
President Dillon?
Mark, how are you tonight?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I appreciate the short time you've been in there, how cooperative you've been, how you can take a difficult subject matter, certainly no attorney, no lawyer, and you break it down and you explain it so that we can explain it to our constituents and whoever we need to bring it out to. So I appreciate that. Look forward to working with you, whatever support I can do. I'm glad to do so. And we've seen you at that podium many times before in a different position, so it's good to
A little more comfortable now.
It's good to have you on our team. Thank you.
Thank you.
We miss you.
Councilor DeMambro?
Attorney Savati, welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
I look forward to working with you. And what I do appreciate, and I'll echo the sentiments of President Dillon, you break it down so we can understand it. And for us people that don't have law degrees, or we don't even read a law book, we appreciate it. I thank you, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Welcome aboard.
Me as well.
Any other comments from the council? Oh, President Dillon.
And again, you mentioned Teresa, excellent person, wonderful to work with. The couple times I've gone in there, she's helped me greatly. So
She's
thank you
good.
to her as well.
Thanks, Mark.
Don't forget Flag Day is Saturday.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Next up is Human Resources on page 13.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello, Shauna Healy, HR Director. I'll just point out a few big things that we worked on this year. Karen in my office, I can't do it without her, so definitely want to make sure that I acknowledge her and thank her for everything she's done to support us. This year we had, so as of today, I've had 41 part-time and full-time hires for the fiscal year. We received a wellness grant for about $11,000 that brought us our picnic table outside with the plantings, and it also supports the fresh fridge that's in the basement for staff, which is great. We also obtained our safety grant through Meyer as well, which supported the IT department in getting some three-factor authentication key fobs, and also supported the DPW in getting a lift gate on one of their trucks for safety measures, so that was good. We held the First Amendment audit training for all staff within City Hall and library staff last July, which was good. We held that at the fire department, and the staff really appreciated that, especially after they visited us last spring. So it was a good reminder and refresher. We introduced a new health insurance plan to our Medicare eligible retirees this November that went effective January 1st. We had about 20 new enrollees, or 20 retirees change to that plan, and we expect that will probably increase year after year. It brings a savings to the city for each retiree that does make the change, and the benefit actually can be seen as greater. There's some additional benefits that our other plans currently don't offer. So as more and more years go by and retirees that are on it hopefully have a good use of it and talk to their retiree friends, we'll see, changes throughout the year. So that was a big undertaking, just implementing that plan and educating the retirees and making sure they knew what it was and the different offerings that we had. So that was good as well. We held the assessment center for the police department, which brought us hiring our deputy police chief, and then the promotions with captain and lieutenant. And as Mark said, we're now working on the 7 union contracts that all expire on June 30th, so that will be a it is busy now, and we'll continue to be busy until we get to agreements. So hopefully we'll have those settled at some point during this fiscal year. And other than that, as far as budget-wise goes, just very small increases to our pre-employment physical and drug and alcohol testing lines to try to keep up with the increase in cost and the requirements that we have anyway for drug and alcohol testing with the DPW for the CDL drivers. So any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
President Dillon?
No questions, just thank you to you and Karen. You do such an important duty for us as far as keeping us in compliance, keeping us out of trouble, for lack of a better term. We don't really get to deal with you on a regular basis like we deal with many of the other department heads, but it's important you acknowledge for your good work, and thank you.
Thank you.
Council at Large Ferrullo?
Shauna, thank you very much for the enthusiasm you bring to the agency, your office, in a very difficult time for employee retention and recruitment, particularly in Chief Rufo and Chief Kenton's world. It's tough out there. And your perseverance and the work you do doesn't go unnoticed. And you and I had this conversation recently. But thank you for all you do in a very tough work environment.
Any other councilors? Shauna, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Shauna.
Shauna.
Thank you, Shauna. And last up, we have the engineering department on page 32.
Good evening.
Good
Good evening.
It was interesting listening to Hermaine speak and Chief Rufo, and it reminded me recently that the mayor had a department head meeting where each of the department heads spoke for a couple minutes about what they did. And it reminded me that for the past 26 years, I've worked with a very elite group of professionals, and I'm proud to be a part of them. In this building, we work with almost every department, giving them support, and it's really been a joy. And we work with a lot of good people. Just wanted to point that out. This year's budget, we've had some minor increases to account for increases in software and other things that we get from our vendors. I find that it's sufficient for us to meet the goals and objectives of the department, and I really have no qualms with it. I'd like to turn it back to the chair for any questions.
Councilor DeMambro.
Mr. Corey,
Sir.
thank you for everything. Your wealth of knowledge in this city is unbelievable. Next to Dickie Gately.
Oh, that's all.
That was a plug, Dick. I have to say, every time I've asked you a question, where, when, what, you come right up with the information. You dig up maps from the 1800s. I don't know how you do it, but you've got all kinds of knowledge and information down there. The support you and your staff gives all of us for all the different projects, especially up in North Woburn with all the industrial parks and everything that's going on up there, all the action. I appreciate your professionalism, your knowledge, your know-how, your experience. You're a historian for this city, and you're a wealth.
Well, thank you. It's essentially myself, Gregory Hume, who's been with the department as long as I have almost. And for 20 years, we had Brett Gonzalez, and those three were continuity in government for a long, long time. Now we have Matt Barrett in place of Brett, but we have continuity in it. You know, I rely on Greg and Matt for so many things. They just make our department special.
You got a hell of a team.
Thank you.
Councilor Mercer Bruin.
I just want to thank you for all the work you do, Jay. I know sometimes we disagree and then we agree to agree on many things, but we both have the same goal. And a lot of people don't know, I mean, you have this enormous expertise in stormwater management and understand water in all aspects. But you also became our pseudo traffic consultant. I'm not sure it was something you wanted to essentially sign up for, but over the years, you certainly have. And the knowledge that you've acquired over the years in that regard, we've all benefited from your help with that.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't learn something new. And as the mayor said, it's part of the job.
But
it's what we do.
Yeah, but it's also, people don't understand how difficult it can be wrangling with, our partners, and I call them partners because we have to work very closely with Mass Highway. And it can be difficult to get some of the answers that we need. It can be difficult. Projects can be held up. But you do it with class, a lot of class, and a lot of patience. So thank you. Thank you very much to you and your staff. And, the other day I was reminiscing with someone, I don't remember who it was, but we were talking about, it was one of my daughters. We were talking about how when they were very young, they got to come with some children from their school. I brought them into your office for a tour so they could see the traffic monitoring. I mean, that was a long time ago, right? I think Claire might have been 6 or something. They remember getting lollipops in your office. So it reminded me of how long we've worked together, and I'm very appreciative of everything that you've done for our city. So thank you.
Thank you.
President Dillon.
Jay, how are you?
I'm well.
You, Greg, Matt, incredible work. Every time I go in there, whatever's needed, you find it, you give me an explanation and go out to the constituents, and 9 out of 10 times, it's something that pleases them and we can get them happy. Can't hit a home run every time, but what I want to say personally is you've made me a better city councilor. Your guidance, you're taking me under your wing and guiding me through some real tough times that we've had to deal with out there has been a life's education. So I'm gonna miss you, and I appreciate, again, your support. It means a lot to me.
Been a joy to work with, Jeff. I mean it.
Councilor Demers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay, through my role through my role at the State House, working for Representative Dwyer, and then a little sojourn on the school committee before I came here to the council, I've always appreciated the conversations we've had, both professional and personal, over the years. You were somebody that I could talk to and kind of be very frank with on certain stuff. I'm thrilled to have been involved in many of the projects that we now have seen come to fruition, including the Montvale Ave widening, the new Boston Street Bridge, getting the Cambridge Road and Bedford Road intersection on the tip and programmed. I take great pride that I could do that working alongside with you, and you treated me as a colleague when I was a legislative aide at the State House, and I truly appreciated that. I think one of the great stories that Jay and I have is that Jay did design work on my family's subdivision and cul-de-sac back in the late 80s. So it was kind of a reconnect there when I became an appointed and then an elected official in the city of Woburn. So I won't say we go way back.
You were a kid back then.
But we go far back enough where I appreciated every moment of it, and I look forward to our continued friendship. Thank you, Jay.
Any other comments from the council? From the chair, Jay, I want to thank you for every time that I've called you. You've been there to answer the phone, give me an answer, or get back to me later on and if you didn't have it. So thank you very much.
Quite welcome. And lastly, we look forward to working with the new grant writer. We've been able to, working in conjunction with Mystic River Watershed Association, we've been able to obtain a number of grants, which we manage in conjunction with the auditor's office. Awesome. It will be fun to move all those things over to a new grant writer. And I have a nice association with Kevin. I've known him for, my God, 30 years. It's got to be something like that anyhow, going back to when I was on the private side. And he was on the council, and I look forward to working with him. He's going to be very good. He's got a lot of great ideas, and we'll give him the technical background, and he can go out and knock them down. Going to be good. And same with John. You know, I've known John for some 30 years as well. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?